The reason why I brought Kody is Kody and I are super good friends, but the biggest thing that I've seen Kody is transformation over the last, I've only known you for what, 3 years? Maybe? Yeah. Right? Around? And when I first met him, he wasn't in a good place. He just wasn't. And I love people that are willing to transform their lives and transform their bodies, transform their mind, transform all those things. And I called him out, right? He wanted to join my program. I said, hey, join my program. But I was like, you've got to get your weight and your health under control, because right now it's a distraction. And most people say, screw you, Jason, or F off, or like mind your own business, or whatever, right? When you felt that way before, you like call somebody else. And it was out of genuine, pure love, right? And I said, and he's like, okay, bet, right? And fast forward 2 years, and he's gonna walk you through kind of that story. But I wanted him to, I was like, dude, he's like, I'm gonna talk about this. I'm like, dude, I want you to tell your story. I want you to tell your story of where you were the last 20 years and the last 2 years and where you are now, and how, like, do not let, like, our lives are a book, and there's chapters in it. Stop going back and reading the first chapter over and over and over and over again. Like, keep writing new chapters. The book's still always going to be there. It's going to, like, go back and look through the pages once in a while, but, like, dude, keep rewriting that story. Every chapter is a different story. And my heart and my gut told me to bring Kody up here to share that with you guys. If you've never heard from him before, follow him on social media. I love his content. I love what he puts out. Which handle do you want?
Just my name.
Kody Houk?
Yep.
H-O-U-K. Every butcher's in it. Houk, Houk, whatever. H-O-U-K. Right? Give it up for my boy Kody.
Thank you. So you guys, when Jason asked me to come up here, we talked about the transformation that's happened the last couple of years. And as I prayed on that all week, that's going to be a big talk today. As I prayed on that all week, God said, most of the people that are in the room today know the story of the last 3 years. A lot of you guys were connected on social media. You've been to an event that I've spoke at before. We're personal friends. You guys have been close to me in that. But what you don't know is the story of my first 28 years of life. And that story is about a guy that I used to know that met a God that he didn't know, that resulted in the man that's here with you guys today. And that's the story that God told me to tell, because I believe that somebody in this room is battling something that I struggled with the first 28 years of my life, or something I've struggled with and overcome the last 10 years of my life. And I want to show you what can happen when you surrender and you die to self and you meet God, your Father, and surrender your life to Jesus Christ. I'm sure you guys weren't planning on coming to church today, but that's where we're going. So I grew up in Coolidge, Arizona. I'm a local boy. I was actually born, you guys know the Williams Gateway Airport over there, Mesa Gateway Airport. That used to be an Air Force base if you guys aren't local here. That's where I was born. Parents drove me right down the road to Coolidge, and that's where I spent most of my life. You guys familiar with Coolidge area down there? You guys been down there? The only place worse than that is Apache Junction. And I don't have the rags to riches story, right? I'm not going to give you one of those I grew up with nothing, came out of everything, drug-addicted parents. None of that. We were a middle-class family in a poverty-stricken community, heavily minority-based, and I didn't really fit in. I was an overweight white kid. I got the literal shit kicked out of me every day growing up. Wasn't accepted by anybody around me. Very, very few friends. And that was rough. I wear scars all over my body from the bullying that I took growing up. I'm gonna fast forward through some of that. I hit 15, 16 years old. Went on a diet, lost like 60 pounds that summer. Parents bought me a cool car. You guys remember when Fast and the Furious came out? You remember Jesse's white Volkswagen Jetta? Thing was tricked out, sick as hell. My mom and dad went and bought me one of those, built it up the same way. All of a sudden, I was one of the cool kids. I dropped the weight, had a sick car, joined the football team, got in shape, quit football because I was a baseball guy. Baseball was always my thing. But I didn't know how to deal with that. And it built up this pressure to perform. And I started getting attention I wasn't used to getting. And then one day I'm walking out to my car, and the senior head cheerleader comes up to me in the parking lot. She's like, "Hey, I think you're cute. You want to be my boyfriend?" Me? What are you talking about? A month later, had sex for the first time. 16-year-old boy in that situation, you guys all know what that feels like. Went absolutely wild, right? A month later, she cheated on me. And that sowed some seeds of deep hurt and insecurity and pressure to perform and a feeling that I never wanted to feel again, and something that sprouted in me that I carried into relationships for years. And that was this protective barrier that if I felt in any way that you were about to hurt me, damn, was I about to hurt you first and 10 times worse than you could imagine hurting me. Anybody been there? Built up those walls of self-protection? Guys, we're gonna get real in here today. Lives only change with vulnerability. And I promise you to give you real and honest transparency today. Then I started dating another girl. And her brothers were some of the ones that used to kick the dog shit out of me the whole time going through school. And we started dating, and that pressure to perform and fit in was starting to kick in again. And went to go see her one day, and I'm walking up the driveway, and the brothers are sitting out in the driveway on the tailgate of the truck doing lines of cocaine. "Hey, Kody, you want some of this?" That peer pressure and that pressure to perform and, oh man, I can finally fit in with these guys, kicked in. "Yeah, let's do that. That sounds like a great idea." It's not a great idea at all. So at 18 years old, after pissing away my baseball career, scholarship opportunities to go to college, I ended up hooked on cocaine, not knowing what to do with my life. The girlfriend didn't know what was going on for a while, that I was using with her brothers, and when she found out, that defense reflex started to kick in again. Oh man, she's gonna leave. So my walls went up, and I would try to hurt her every chance I got. Ultimately, that relationship ended up ending with her cheating on me with my best friend. So there was more hurt, that knife getting dug deeper. A year later, I met the mother of my kids and now ex-wife, and we hit off a relationship. I was working as a contract carrier for the post office at that time. Kept running out of money to feed my addiction. And at 19 years old, I'm pulling in for my route from the day. And the U.S. postal inspectors are waiting there in the parking lot for me. They went and tore my car apart. Found a bunch of mail that I stole that contained gift cards and cash and a whole bunch of other stuff I was using to feed my addiction. And at 19 years old, I ended up a convicted felon. Thinking then, life's over. Got sentenced to 3 years of probation, restitution, all that fun stuff. Counseling, you would think, going through something like that, That's enough to end it, right? Man, we're in trouble. Life's not looking good. Don't know what I'm going to do for work now. You'd think that'd be enough to get me off the drugs. That wasn't it. Kept using. Finally, I hit a day, I was like, I think I'm done with this stuff. Moved out of town for a little bit, stayed with my grandparents, was clean for a little while, actually ended up going to college, played college baseball for a semester. But then started partying again, flunked out, and then found out that my son was on the way, completely unexpected. You'd think that would do it, right? Yeah, it's time to be a dad. Better get your shit together. That didn't do it. Cleaned up a little bit, lightened up the using. My son was born, and a year later, my grandpa, who was the spiritual head of our family, was traveling the country for work and he got killed in a car accident. And I went into a complete tailspin. I remember I was picking up dinner for my family when my mom called and told me what had happened. And I drove straight from the restaurant to my dealer's house, spent every dollar I had, and I was right back in it. Heavy. And that carried on for years. Got off probation, snuck my way, deceived my way through that. I was so deep in it, the day that I got off probation, I drove to sign my release papers with an ounce of coke in my glove box, pulling up to the federal courthouse in downtown Phoenix. Left there and went and partied the whole week. I lied, I cheated, I stole, I deceived. That was as bad as it gets. It was tough. So one day, we were living in Copper Basin, down in Santan. There was a church down the road. I wasn't talking with my family. Me and my dad had actually ended up in a fist fight a couple years before, and we hadn't talked for 5 years. Marriage was rocky at best. I said, there's a church over there. I'm gonna go start playing church. See how that goes. I'll give the perception that I'm gonna do better in life. And I started going to church, showing up every Sunday. There were Sundays I showed up and just snuck into the back and sat in the back because I was coming down from the high from the night before. After a couple months of that, I made some friends there, started playing softball, got close with some of the guys, and then I got invited to this retreat. Like, man, that sounds weird as hell. I'm gonna go up to Flagstaff with 500 dudes I don't know and sleep in the same room with 12 of them. That is a miserable experience if you've never been in that situation. You guys that have been in the military, I feel bad for you. That is rough. But I went in it. Here's how messed up my mindset was going up to the retreat. Me and the couple guys that I got close with, we drove up there, immediately changed, and went down to like the downtown area of Flagstaff where all the college kids partied, and we were out just getting hammered till like 2 a.m. There was a golf tournament the next day that we showed up for, and we rolled up with an ice chest full of beer in the back of the truck at the church golf tournament, and we're sitting out there pounding beers in the parking lot, and the pastor comes up to us like, "What in the hell are you guys doing out here?" Dude, we're just here to have fun. Wasn't taking anything serious with it at all. But I got into worship with 500 guys. And the power that was in that room and feeling the Holy Spirit's presence there, something went off in me. I don't know what this is. I haven't felt this before. And the next day, we kind of had some time between sessions to go do whatever we wanted. And there's a mountain back behind the camp there in Williams. And I went on a hike by myself, went and climbed that mountain. That was hell. I was like 300 pounds at that time. Getting up that thing was not fun. And I got up to the top of that mountain, and there was a cross stuck up there and an ammo box that had a journal in it. And I took that out and I started reading it, and started reading little short testimonies of guys that had made that climb. And then writing down their prayers. And I hit my knees and I started crying my eyes out. God, I don't want this life anymore. If this is what you have for me, I don't want to be here. And I didn't get an answer there. But I felt that change was coming. My whole life, I've been able to talk my way out of a lot of situations. My family thought I was going to be a lawyer at one point. But something was different, and I felt God saying that was it. Something's going to change. But after 5 hours of driving down I-17 on Sunday, which I'm sure you guys have done a time or two, I got home and immediately drove to my drug dealer's house, straight from the church retreat. Started using again. And then my then wife said, you need to get the hell out of here. Because she also found out that I had been talking to another woman. And I tried to talk my way out of that and almost did. But a couple days later, I was out playing softball with the guys. I had left house, I was staying at my parents'. And I was out in Mesa playing softball with the guys, and my phone rings and it's her, and she says, hey, you said you weren't talking to this person, but I know you. No, I'm not. I don't know what you're talking about. You're just making stuff up. Then I heard somebody else's voice on the line. And it was the other woman. Oh shit. There's no getting out of this one. So I felt every bit of that heaviness. There was no getting out of that. It was all exposed. And I drove home that night. I went and pulled every dollar I had out of the bank, called my dealer. Give me everything I can get. Told God, I'm done. That's enough. I asked you to take this from me. You're not. I just can't take this pain anymore. And I got to my parents' house and locked myself in the room and just started using with the intent of that was going to be it. I'm just going to do lines until my heart explodes. I'm done. And I remember it was 11:30 p.m. the last time I looked at my phone, August 23rd. And I just felt this calmness come over me that I had never felt before when I had been high. And the last thought that went through my mind is, this is it. This has to be what death feels like. And I closed my eyes. And the next thing I knew, I opened my eyes and the sun was up. And my then wife was standing over me with about a half an ounce of cocaine hanging over my head because she was supposed to bring my kids over for me to take them to school. And I'm coming out of this stupor and I'm like, what in the hell is going on? This isn't real. There's no way. Obviously, she flipped out, called the cops. Again, my mind went to, how do I end this thing? I don't want to do this. And I went and grabbed my dad's gun and went and sat in the pool. And I put one in the chamber and thought about pulling the trigger. And I just felt this stillness come over me and said, no, that's not the answer. So I went back inside and she showed back up with the cops. Small town. One of the cops was my sister's ex-fiance. The other one was the uncle of a guy that I grew up playing baseball with. And they're like, Kody, what in the hell have you done with your life? You had the potential to be one of the ones that got out of here. and you threw it all away. And it was the first time I heard God speak to me. And if you guys don't think that God speaks to you through people, you need to listen harder. You need to open your hearts to hear these things. Because she came over and she knelt in front of me and she said, if you're willing to give this up and you're willing to change, I'll be here with you the whole way. And in that moment, all I wanted to do was go to that church that I had been attending and play in church at and pretending that my life was getting better. So I called the pastors, walked through the doors, they dropped everything they were doing, let me come in the office, and they echoed that same statement. Kody, if you're willing to turn from this and change, we love you, we're here, come as you are, I will embrace you, and we're here for you. But if not, you can't be here. And let me tell you guys, the power in truth and not hiding behind lies anymore is where freedom comes. In those hard, difficult, transparent conversations. Because for the next 3 hours, I laid out the last 15 years of my life, every mistake I made, every dollar I could remember I had stolen, every text I sent that I shouldn't have, every night that I used. And you guys, God performed a miracle on that day. Because there was no rehab, there was no NA. Did I attend some programs? Yes, I did, for support. And I'm so blessed that I was able to do that. But I've not used drugs since August 23rd, 2015. Next Saturday will be 10 years of sobriety for me. Scripture tells us that we have to die and be reborn into a new creation. And I used to tell this story and say, I tried to take my life that night. And this is in no way any kind of advocacy for self-harm. But I believe that I succeeded that night. This word right here really means something to me. That's why I chose to wear this shirt up here today. Because that version of me died that night. And a new me was risen the next morning. And that's led me to the true blessing of being here and get to share this story with you guys today. And get to share a story of hope. If you are in struggle, if you're in pain, if you are dealing with addiction, you guys, today's the day you can make a decision to change that. But it's going to take you getting radically transparent, because I tried living in the shadows and sweeping everything under the rug for so long, just asking God to hide it, make sure nobody found out. But that's not the way God works. God has to bring what is hiding in the darkness into the light to remove it from you for good. I'm gonna put my phone number up here in a minute. If any of you guys need prayer, if you need a man to talk to, if you need mentorship, please call me, text me, whatever you need. I'm gonna go back here in the back room after I'm done speaking. If anybody needs prayer support right now, if you're feeling right now that you need to make a change in your life and you need someone to talk to and pray with you, I'm gonna be back here to do that. But that's where freedom comes from. Everything you guys are learning today. If it is not rooted in love and truth and transparency and vulnerability with your spouse, with your kids, with yourself, and with God, none of it's going to stick. None of it's going to make a change. Oop. I'm going to close with this. See, there's the damn enemy again. You guys don't know the challenges that we went through this week and the attacks that every one of us came under getting ready for this event. It was absolutely insane. There were people telling us that we had no business doing this. We had health issues. We had logistical issues. We had attacks on our relationships. Everything the enemy was trying to do to stop the change that's going to happen today. But God persevered. And I'm going to close with this. In James 1:22, It says, but be doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. Because if anyone is a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like someone looking at his own face in a mirror. For he looks at himself, goes away, and immediately forgets what kind of person he was. But the one who looks intently into the perfect law of freedom and perseveres in it, and is not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the works, that person will be blessed in what he does. Don't leave here today just hearing what I've shared with you guys, what Jason and Heidi are going to share with you guys about vulnerability in marriage, what Josh and Jalen sharing their experience here and how to raise up powerful leaders in your children. What Carlos is going to bring in fire, the story that Nick has for you guys is absolutely incredible. But none of it, you being here is a waste of your day if you don't act on anything that you hear today. I love you guys. I'm so glad that every one of you are here. You are here for a reason. It was not an accident that you got brought into this room today. If any of you need to talk to someone, if this lit a fire in you and you know you need some change, I'm going to go back here in the back room. I'm happy to come talk to anybody. I'm going to throw my number up here really quick. You guys can take it. Sorry for my handwriting. I was also told I should have been a doctor. If you guys want to connect with me on social media, just go look up my name right there. That is not, there we go. I'm out.